In the last section, we finished up with our Postgres deployment file and the associated cluster IP service as well. So that's pretty much it for the boring configuration files, at least the ones around the cluster IP service and deployments. We're still going to write out a couple of different config files, but they're going to be much different than the ones we put together so far, because they're going to serve dramatically different purposes than the services and deployments we've taken a look at. In this section in particular, we're going to start looking at what a Postgres PVC thing down here is. First beginning by getting a better understanding on why we need this PVC thing at all. So just so you know, PVC stands for Persistent Volume Claim. Now the word volume in here is the same type of volume that we had worked back with in the world of Docker and Docker Compose a while ago. You might recall that we had previously made use of volumes in order to share the file system of a host operating system or a host machine with the file system inside of a container. And so we had previously used it with Docker Compose when we were working on that Create React app. We had wanted to make sure that every time we changed the source code of our project on our local machine, it somehow updated the files inside of the container as well. Now, to give you a good idea of what a persistent volume claim is, I first want to do a very quick review on what a volume is and why we need a volume at all with Postgres in particular. Because if we just start talking about what a volume claim is without really understanding and remembering what a volume is, a lot of this stuff won't make sense. So in this section, quick review on volumes and why we need one with Postgres. All right. Now, I just took the diagram we were looking at a second ago, like this big one right here, in particular the deployment and Postgres pod piece, and I blew it up to be its own kind of diagram right here, as you see. So we still have the deployment, which creates a pod, and inside that pod, we have a single Postgres container. And inside that container is a file system totally isolated to just be accessible by the container itself. Now, I want you to recall that Postgres is a database. And the Postgres database, very similar to many other types of databases, though not relevant for Redis because that is specifically an in-memory data store, Postgres takes in some amount of data and writes it to a file system. So we can imagine that a request to write some data or essentially save some data with